Boneface is a new 2025 horror film released on Apple TV and Amazon Prime, and the story follows a masked killer who terrorizes and mass scares a group of counselors one night during a party. And soon after the killings take place, the police show up, which leads them to a 24-hour diner, and so they decide to shut it down for the night because they suspect someone within this diner is the killer. So this is a whodunit story, and as far as my first impressions on Boneface, I really dug this concept. This is a very unique take for a slasher film, and it's a very different kind of slasher film, as a matter of fact, to what we come to expect from this genre, because most of this film takes place all within one location, which is this diner. That's where the main narrative of the film is taking place, but occasionally you do see a change of scenery, the opening and the ending mainly. And just, a slasher taking place, within a diner, I don't think that has been done before. So, this was a film that, I definitely had my eye on. However, this film is heavily marketed as a camp slasher, which, when I say that, I'm sure you think of Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, The Prowler, you think all of the classics. This film is nothing like that. And, I think even marketing this film as a slasher, I think is a big mistake, because this film is 10% slasher, 90% dialogue. The slashing elements aren't in the movie all that much. It's mainly just the opening 10-minute sequence, which I thought that was a very strong way to open the movie. It has this very 80s feel to it. It's an homage and love letter to Friday the 13th, and and to the very kind of campy side of slashers. The campy era, of like the 70s and 80s. Kind of era, which I really dug that. I really liked the killer's mask here. In most low budget slashers, you find that the masks are more of an afterthought. It's $2, cheap Charlie, type of mask, and just, the killer doesn't really have, a cool design to kind of make him stand out. This mask actually looked like, there was a lot of kind of thought put into it, and, a really cool design. It has like this bone structure to it, hence the name. And so, I thought that was really cool. It's, it's a very different mask, to what we see, in a lot of slashers, but, unfortunately, it's not in the movie all that much. Which, then also kind of brings me to my next point of this movie being called Boneface. That's a weird topic, because while the movie is based around kind of finding the identity, of this killer, you really don't see Boneface in this movie all that all. You see him in the opening, there's a small portion at the end, and that's it. So altogether, you're probably looking at around 11 minutes out of a 90-minute film, 11 minutes of the titled character. But then, on the other hand, I do want to give that a pass, because this film, the slashing elements and the actual kind of slasher story, that kind of more sets off the story. Like that's more the jumping off point. It's not really the main vocal point of where the film's going. Um, this film definitely could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot better, for sure. Um, but being truthfully honest here, just I really dug how this movie didn't follow follow the same kind of camp slasher trope that is in every slasher movie, of like you're seeing this guy kind of hunt down all these different stereotypes and killing them in brutal ways in a forest. I feel like that has been done to death in slashers, and like it's a signature location and it's a staple on the genre. um, but I think this film kind of using that as more as a second thought in this movie. Like, this film is very much kind of based on the characters and the dialogue. It is a very dialogue heavy film, and truthfully honest, I didn't mind how this film wasn't based uh, based purely as a slash film, if that makes sense. I really, honestly, I really enjoyed kind of, hanging out with these characters. Each character kind of has their own personality that makes them stand out. You have the one character who's obsessed with horror and is a projectionist, and he knows all the in and outs of the genre. So you have the very nerdy one. You have the veteran character who's kind of who's been scarred from war. You have the characters that are just kind of passing through. And so I think everybody stands out pretty well here, and I thought all of the acting across the board I thought was really good by everyone, especially the sheriff in the film. I don't know the actor's name, but massive props to him. I thought he was really, really good in the movie. And just I really liked all of the conversations and kind of finding out everybody's story and previous work experience and kind of where they've been tonight, and just kind of there's always something going on throughout the runtime. Like, this movie never felt boring to me. Like, there was enough kind of intrigue. There was enough intrigue in the film, to kind of keep me guessing. And so I really kind of liked that aspect of it. I think the film is shot well. I think the gore that you do see, this isn't an overly bloody film. A lot of the gore that you do see is the aftermath, so you don't really see any on-screen kills. Which is a shame. I think the movie did have an opportunity in the opening to kind of show some cool kills, and while they do something cool in the opening that has to do with lights, which I really liked, which then kind of entered into a kill sequence. So that I thought was pretty neat in the film. I think the film's lit very well. I think for the most part the film is directed, quite competently, actually. And then as far as the killer reveal itself, because that's what this movie is building to, I didn't see the reveal coming. This film has a couple of twists and turns in it, actually, with certain things that unfold. I really liked the eventual killer, actually. This is a killer that you can kind of sympathize with, I guess, because she has like a very kind of personal matter that has to do with these camps, and she kind of wants to prevent it from happening to other people. So there's this like revenge kind of aspect, you know, of the reveal. And there's also like there's this tragic event that kind of happened to her, which I thought, you know, grounded her character, and you can kind of see where she's coming from. And, you know, while, you know, I don't agree with violence, you know, by any means, you know, I thought in this movie that once the explanation, you know, did kind of, you know, unfold, and, you know, all the answers are kind of given, you know, you do see why he or she is doing, you know, is doing what they're doing, and yeah, you know, and so, you know, there's no complaint there for me. You know, the film definitely could have been, you know, a bit bloodier. I definitely could have asked for some more kills, but, you know, this film really should not have been marketed as, you know, as a slasher. You know, I think that's going to turn a lot of people off, and I think that's honestly why they start the movie off with the scene that they do, is to kind of get people on board, to kind of give them what they want, and then as soon as the opening's done, you know, turn over those events and be like, okay, this isn't the movie we're actually presenting you now. This is the movie, you know, where we're going to be, you know, showing you. And, you know, just, yeah, I really liked that twist as well. So, yeah, this film I actually really liked, quite a bit. So, I'd say, if you have, $6-7, definitely give this movie a watch. It's a high recommendation on my end. So could have been better, could have been a lot worse. I had a good time. It kept me guessing. There's enough intrigue in this story for your enjoyment. All of the characters were good. All of the acting's good. The cinematography's good. The acting's good. The production value here, while you can definitely tell this isn't a high budget film, by any means, what they are able to pull off, I'll give the movie a pass on that. However, before I do jump to conclusion here, there is one complaint I actually do have, which has to do with the actual kind of behind the scenes aspect of the movie. There's quite a few scenes, honestly, at the end of this movie where the boom mic is in frame. I have no idea. Like, it was there in some frames, and then it wasn't there. So that's only just like like a small little nitpick there, but it has nothing to do with the film itself. That's more just they could have maybe held it a bit higher, but besides that, really good movie. So check out Boneface. I'd love to see a potential sequel to this. So we'll have to see how this first one does. So check it out.